Hi everybody, it's Amanda of amandaellis.co.uk and Facebook page Angelic Celestial Colours. Welcome. It's February the 22nd, 2018 and I suddenly thought that I think I made a commitment to do a teaching video every 11th of the month, and the 11th has gone. I think I probably put out a video around about then. But it is the 22nd, which is another master number day. So Metatron just gave me a little bit of a nudge this morning and said, go on, let's talk about a few topics. So that's what we're going to do. I've actually got some ideas here written down on paper that have been given to me over the last 24 hours by Metatron that he would like me to talk about. So I'm just going to tell you what this video is going to concern, because it might go on, usually my videos sometimes can go on for up to 50 minutes, maybe longer. I'm feeling this one might be a 50-minute-ish video. So anybody who wants to timestamp after having watched the whole thing, you can do. But I'm going to split it down into a few different topics today. I want to talk about choice point. And that we are at choice point times, which is what Metatron is calling them, and that is both collectively and personally. I'm going to talk a little bit about the youth movements that are going on around the world, particularly the one that we're witnessing in America right now. I'm going to talk about fake news, false flags, and the need for discernment. And then I'm going to end up by taking you through a grid that you can create for yourself using crystals, colour, affirmations and anything else you want. And this grid is going to be a grid for truth, okay? So those of you that watch me regularly know that, I don't know, 6 months ago we talked about doing grids for protection, and this is a grid for truth, because in a world where there's just so much information overload, a lot of people are losing their head, and I'm actually writing down here, we need to go back to basics. If you just excuse me, I'm just going to write down, because I need to just remember, it's quite important that I get down on this video what wants to come through. So by back to basics, what do you mean, Metatron? Okay, manifesting what you think we focus on. Okay, thank you. Right, so let's get to it. Let us just focus for 1 minute, okay? So I'm just going to spray the orange flame attunement spray and ask for Metatron to be with me. He says, I'm already here, I've been waiting for you. Okay. Where to start? Okay, where to start? Firstly, I'm just going to say thank you to anybody that supported me on particularly the last video that I posted on gun control. It was quite an interesting experience, that one, because I was very clearly told I had to do it, had to make it, did it, and then knew, because it was quite a controversial subject, as is actually some of the content of this video, that some people wouldn't like the message, and it's a case of shoot the messenger. Sorry about the pun, but it is. And what I usually do, being somebody on YouTube, I will read all the comments that come in about any video that I make, just to get a sense, obviously, of what's being said. But anybody that has a YouTube channel will tell you that from time to time you will get attacked, and it's not particularly pleasant. And those of us that do this work as spiritual leaders, light workers, whatever you want to call us, have to be sensitive to even be able to do this. It's as simple as that. And I've always said that I feel sensitivity is our greatest strength, but it also can be our greatest weakness sometimes. So it's a real balancing act. And it was quite interesting, because as soon as I put the gun video up, Metatron said to me, okay, you've delivered the message, now stand back from it. You don't need to read any of the comments that come in. And I thought, what? Well, I always do. And he said, no, you don't need to read them. And it was because he was trying to protect me. And what I have done is I've just had a quick glance this morning, and I really thank you for all of the lovely comments that were said. But yeah, it's just a time now where we are being asked to stand in our truth, speak what we feel, and it's very much a case of not getting into tit for tat, you know. It's not getting into a case of arguing our point, because when we do that, we get into a place of ego. We're straight into ego, which is about I'm trying to prove my point by arguing with you and coming back and defending my position and all of that. And I am very clear that my channel will always keep open its comments section. A lot of spiritual teachers do not do that. I'm sorry, but they wimp out. They just don't put up their comments. I will, but it doesn't mean that I have to put myself in the firing line. Sorry, another pun, but it's the words that I'm being told to say. So that's what I choose to do. So I do just apologise if sometimes I don't come back and actually answer something that maybe you think I should have answered, but that's the reason why, okay? So I will just, I'll sometimes read the comments and sometimes I won't. And when I don't, it's actually a case of Metatron coming in and saying, you don't need to in this instance, okay? But I do honour all of you that support me and appreciate it. Okay, so what do I want to talk about? Where should we jump into this? Okay, we're going to jump in by saying that on that gun video, right at the end, Metatron came through with just a couple of lines. It was something he said through me, linked into, oh, and don't realise, you know, don't despair, realise that the changes are going to come in via young people, via the people who actually survived the shootings, as an example. And when I said it, I thought, well, that's a nice thing to end on. Didn't think too much about it. Probably felt still that, you know, it's a bit of a long way off. And look, you know, what date are we now? We're the 22nd of February. We're about a week since that event happened in America, the Florida shooting. And it is extraordinary, the outpouring from young people who are marching, who are finding their voice, who are being very courageous. Again, if you don't like what they say, you don't have to listen to it, but it's a growing movement and it's going to continue. And the one thing that Metatron said to me today, and this is for all of us and me as well, is it's not just about, wow, look at them and be inspired by their bravery and their courage. He's asking us to be humbled by them. And by that, he means that going into a place of humility where we realise that it's the younger generation that are A, going to lead the way, B, bring about most of the change that's needed in many areas of society, not just about guns, and that they are going to teach us. And somewhere along the line, we forget that in life. Those of us that are parents will know that our children teach us, and they can teach us in very beautiful ways, and they can also teach us in ways where they press all of our buttons and we can go into, you know, real anger or, you know, just feelings of despair, you know, because it's like, what do I do with this child? I don't know what to do with them. I don't know what to do with this teenager. I don't know what to do with this young person. And of course, a parent is a parent for life. So you might be watching this with grown-up children who are still pressing your buttons, but they teach us something always. I remember with my first child when she was a baby, one of the first lessons that I learned from her was when babies are born and, you know, in the first, 6 months or 8 months, can't remember the time scale, but everything that they come into contact with is absolute wonder. And I remember a few incidences. One was, for example, taking her out in the pram and just this look of complete and utter amazement and wonder and joy in her face at the movement of trees. And just seeing trees and swaying, and she was just absolutely enchanted by it. And it taught me, because I thought, well, I go around with my eyes closed half of the time. I don't notice the beauty of the swaying branches above me, of the rustle of the leaves. I remember another time where we were just sitting at a table and she was just touching the wood. She was touching the grain of wood on the table. But again, she was completely and utterly enchanted by the texture of it, by the feel of it. And in that moment, that was the only thing that mattered in her world, was the exploration of the wood underneath her fingers. And it was just beautiful to behold. And again, it taught me or reminded me to try to be in the present moment, to just sit with the cup of coffee at the table and appreciate that and not get distracted by everything else around us. So we know that as parents or as guardians or as aunties, uncles, teachers, whatever, that children can do that. But it seems to be that we've forgotten that actually, I mean, that is the big stuff as well. But the really big stuff in our world that needs changing, these immovable objects or immovable patterns or immovable things that have just always been the way they are, because the older generations have just been got that amnesia again. I've been carrying them on, is what I'm trying to say. I've just been carrying them on. It's like each young generation comes in, it's just like, well, why are you doing that? You know, we don't agree with that. And actually, we do have a voice and we're going to express it. And they also have that passion, you know, that passion that, again, some adults, we get into apathy, we get into, oh, it's just hopeless, it's never going to change. And that can be about anything, you know, look at the state of the world. And we all have moments like that. As light workers, we all have moments like that. Because again, we're sensitive, we see the light and the dark. But the youngsters just have this unquenchable spirit, which is like, no, you know, this is possible. They have the energy of youth to change the world, and they will. So Metatron is just asking us to really bear witness to them and to support them and to be humbled by their actions as well. And to realise that sometimes our eyes and ears and our hearts have become very jaded, and we've just got into a set pattern of this is the way it's always been, this is the way it's always going to be. And we might have tried to create change, but it didn't happen. So, you know, we fall into that trap. And it's the youngsters that just don't have that, you know, they're coming in fresh to it. So, you know, big round of applause for the youngsters around the world. And it's not just America, it's in many parts of the world. I can't speak knowledgeably about everything that's going on in Australia or India or Canada or, you know, so many of you watch me from different places. But I really welcome your comments and, you know, put them below the box in terms of what you're seeing your youth movement do in your country. Certainly in the UK, the last election that we had, again, whether you believe in the political party they were going towards or not, doesn't really matter. It was the fact that for the first time in ages, young people were becoming engaged in the political debate and opening their eyes and thinking, do I agree with this? Don't I agree with this? And actually, okay, I'm actually going to roll my sleeves up and get into the debate. You've got to be in the debate to change the debate. That's the whole thing. So be humbled by the young. I've also written down here above that, I've said for all of us, it's about, just think about being on the right side of history. Okay, and you can apply that to many things in the world, not just about guns. Let's take it away from just that, because that's just one topic. We can also apply that to things such as, it could be any topic. It could be homelessness. It could be, you know, the age-old program, the age-old problem of, you know, half the world starving. And again, us, an older generation, sometimes just think, oh, you know, I remember trying to tackle that when I was, you know, at Sunday school. I remember collections going around for Sierra Leone is one I remember back in the 1970s. And look now, it's still the same. Nothing's changing. They still haven't got enough to eat, and you get really jaded by it. But again, the youngsters will come in and they'll say, no, we want to change this. I know so many young people now on gap years who go out and, you know, they want to make a difference. They go out to Africa, they go to these very many different places around the world, charity-led initiatives, but they just go for a month or 2 months, they roll their sleeves up and they get on with it and they try to make a difference. Being on the right side of history is about aligning yourself with an energy of truth. Okay, we go back to that word truth. What is truth? What is right? What is right at a higher level? Is it right at a higher level for all of the world to be well, happy and fed? Is that achievable? And if there's part of you that thinks, no, it's never going to happen, well, pass the baton on to another generation who've got the enthusiasm and the belief and the energy to do it, and then will them on. And that applies to so many other situations around our world. So let's get behind our young people, Metatron is saying, and let's be on the right side of history. And even if you're not in the debate, maybe you're the ones that are clapping the debate. You know, you're encouraging the speakers on that you believe with. Leads me quite nicely onto my next subject, which is fake news, false flags, and the need for discernment. Let's be very clear here. I'm somebody, I'll nail my colours to the mast straight away to say to you that yes, there are conspiracy theories that I do believe in. And I might as well just state them here. It doesn't mean that you have to agree with me. I do believe, for example, that Princess Diana was murdered. And I do believe that the 9/11, the Twin Towers, there was more to it than meets the eye. Let's just leave it at that. I think the truth will come out. I also believe that there is cover-up in terms of disclosure and UFOs and evidence of, you know, life out there beyond Earth. However, I don't believe every single conspiracy theory that lands in my lap, okay? And I don't believe in everything that's labelled a false flag. And actually, I increasingly, over the last 6 months, have become increasingly worried actually and concerned with regard to the online community, whereby things are put out as fact that aren't necessarily fact. And the problem is that there are two sides who are saying that they are right. And I want to go back to the nature of our year, which is an 11 year, okay? It's a year which is about duality, light and dark, both serving each other. Neither wrong or right, really. They are just what they are. They are two sides of the same coin, and they are meant to coexist together. What I have found offensive over the last few months, but it's escalating, it's becoming like a poisonous disease that's in our midst now, is ever since the whole fake news thing was brought to our attention. And let's be very clear here, fake news does exist. Of that I have no doubt, and Spirit is telling me that does exist. Fake news does exist. Fake news has actually existed, Metatron is saying, since time began. Okay. Oh, God, no, I don't want to say that. News isn't the right word, but, you know, I'm being taken right back to the Gospels. I'm being taken right back to the age of the dawn of Christianity. That's how far back it goes. Because we get into a word of mouth situations. And do you remember the thing about Chinese whispers? And the thing is, you can start off with the truth. There is the truth. And then that truth gets passed on to the next person. And then it gets passed on to the next person. And then it gets passed on to the next person. And you have like this chain reaction that goes all around the world. All it takes in that chain is for one person to change one word or one nuance of the actual truth at the start, and the whole thing gets distorted. I'm being shown a hall of mirrors, a hall of mirrors, and it's as though the first mirror is the actual truth. It's the accurate reflection of what happened. And the only people that actually know that real truth are the people that bore witness to it. Okay, it's the people who bore witness to it. What then happens is we just get the rumour mill, and it has been propagated by the internet, where anybody can come on at any time and say anything they want. And the most dangerous thing now is people can just come on and they can say false flag, fake news, and it's almost as though it's meant to stop the debate. Oh, okay, it's a false flag, it's fake news. All right, we won't look at it then. Am I resonating? I know I've lost some of you already who don't agree, and that's fine. You can go, it doesn't matter. You know, I'm not trying to convert anybody here, but I know I'm resonating with some of you. Because the whole thing Metatron is saying is that those of you that are just, every time something happens that you're not agreeing with, and then this includes people in power right at the top, you know who I'm talking about, who just scream fake news the whole time. They're just running another script. They're just running another script that is just as powerful as the one that they are trying to get away from. We're back to duality. It's two sides of the same coin. Okay? And this year is about, what we're asked to do at a spiritual level is to actually hear both sides of the coin. Okay? We're not trying to stop people from talking, but what I am asking you to do, and what Spirit are asking you to do, is to be really discerning. If you hear, for example, that something's a false flag, and then you also hear that another piece of news that said, no, this happened and this is how it played out, and you go into that story, you're being asked to examine both. And then you're asked to basically feel into which one is right. And I'm going to say something controversial here, because the one that's right is probably neither of them. It's the one in the middle. It's the one in the middle. So we all need to start being a little bit more intelligent, a little bit more discerning. And again, it goes back to what Metatron has been talking about for a long time now, which is the fifth dimensional energy. It's about an alignment between the heart and the mind. You can't stop, and you wouldn't want to stop, your rational, analytical mind that is just as important as the heart. It's a combination of both. And so when you're faced with a situation where you've got it's like one gang who are shouting, this has happened, this has happened, this has happened, you know, whoever it is, whether it's the BBC, whether it's CNN, doesn't matter who it is, whoever it is, this has happened, this has happened. And then you've got this other group who are saying false flag, fake news, fake news. Can you go to the space in the middle, is what you're being asked to do, and just feel for it? Sometimes it may well be a false flag, it may well be false news. Other times this side is going to have more truth to it. You cannot apply the same rule to everything, Metatron is telling me. And that's what's happening. People are, in an 11 year, are dividing into two separate camps. Haven't we learnt that lesson already? Look at the political paradigm, if that's the right word, that needs to fall away. Talking about UK as an example, I want to get away from USA, but you know, talking about UK, we've always had two parties really, the Conservatives, the Tories and Labour, you know, and it's like you're in that camp or you're not in that, or you're in that camp. I've always been somewhere in the middle actually. I've voted for both in the past. I'm a floating voter, I suppose you'd call me. But the point is, I think it's quite good to be in the middle, because then you look at both and you think, okay, yeah, I hear you. I hear you. What do I think? Where do I want to go? Okay, so you can't apply a one-size-fits-all approach to what you're being fed by the media. It's not all fake news and false flags, and equally, it's not always what you're being told. The truth lies somewhere in the middle, which is why Metatron is wanting to talk about truth today and finding your truth. Okay, and before you pass on maybe some of these things on social media, which just says this has happened and it's a false flag, or this has happened and it's fake news, just think about what Metatron's saying about Chinese whispers and the Hall of Mirrors. Because the point is, the more that you pass something on without discerning whether this is truth, have you actually researched it? Were you there? Do you know anybody that was there? Distortion happens as it gets passed around the world. I've had, I get mail every day, but after the Florida shooting in particular, I was contacted by somebody who physically knows somebody else whose daughter was killed at that school. And they're burying her. Right now, they're burying her. She's dead. It happened. Okay? It's physical proof that it wasn't an actor. It wasn't a child actor that had been flown in who's pretending to be dead in a coffin. She died. And in the same day, I was also getting emails in saying, false flag, fake news, fake news. Okay? So, remember the middle position, please, guys. The truth lies. Back to the colours here. This is the number 11 energy, duality. We're in a year of duality, two opposing forces. You have to understand that the truth actually lies in the middle. And can you see the middle of that bottle? Can you see the colour of it? It's like a beautiful, shimmering magenta. And magenta, as a colour energy, is the bridge. It's the bridge energy which takes you from one thing to another. Okay? So, do I want to say any more on that? Let's just go to Metatron. Oh, okay. He's talking about gossip. We have to lose the energy of gossip in 2018, in this year of duality. Gossip keeps this going, this division. Two opposing sides, never the twain shall meet. What we're actually wanting is that. Okay, but what I'm doing there is I'm trying to just demonstrate in a colour way that the truth lies somewhere in the middle. Isn't that beautiful, actually? Look at that. Let's just link into that energy. Can you feel that? Take that into your heart. Take that into your throat. The bridge. Discerning what is true. Discerning what is light. Discerning what is dark. Discerning that they both serve each other. Discerning that you have been dark and you have been light. And you have played so many parts in this life and in previous lives. And the balancer of the light and the dark is Metatron. So gossip just keeps it all going. Why are you wanting to pass on these bits of information that have a lower vibrational energy most of the time? Takes me to my next point I've written down here. I talked about going back to basics. One of the basic principles of spirituality, of the New Age path, is that we can manifest what we focus on. And so to those that have their head firmly in the camp of fake news, false flags, conspiracy, all of that, you're going to see that over and over and over again. And actually it's going to be coming more and more and more and more into your face. Because that's what you're focusing on. So that's what you get. That's what you see. That's what you get confirmed to you. Right there in your face. How dark is this world? How unbalanced is this world? How unjust is this world? How unfair is this world? How corrupt is this world? Let me focus on that a bit more. Let me look more for evidence of that. My God, it's a horrible place. versus another way. And the other way is that I choose to focus on the good in people. I choose to search for truth, but I also choose to search for light in any situation. And the more I search for light and goodness in others, the more that I see that in my face. And it becomes so dazzling and so beautiful. I absorb it into me. And I become that. I become that beacon. And that's contagious. That wants to pass down to every person that I meet. The more that I focus on the light, the more that I see it, the more evidence I get of it, the more goodness I see in the world. And if I see that, I become it and I spread that. But then we have this other side of us, which is I see the darkness. I see the fear. I see the horror. I see what's wrong. Can you just feel into those two energies? You're not being asked to be blind and only see the light. And you're not being asked to not look at the darkness. You're being asked to keep it in balance. To realise that both exist. Which one do you feed? There's a very powerful painting that Jane's done for me for the forthcoming Metatron Oracle cards, and it depicts the light and the dark rather beautifully, and I'm just going to see if I can find it. I'm not turning my camera off because it just takes much longer to upload. Right, which one am I looking for? It is... It's worth it. Hang on, hang with me. Here we go. This painting here. This is just a copy of it. Okay, I'm going to read the message that goes with this card. I'm going to hold it up to the light. The message is on the back actually, okay? Can you see the figure? They both represent you, all right? So the message says, which figure do you relate to? The darkest shadow of your own fear or the empowered light-filled divine you? A challenging card, as in truth both are aspects of yourself, as within you are both light and shade, illumination and shadow, love and hate, peace and anxiety. Living in a dualistic world, you have a dualistic nature, and it serves you well to try and integrate and understand all parts of yourself. Pushing away one's shadow doesn't work, whether it is apparent in jealousy, rage, greed or spite. Instead, you are asked to understand and work through why such feelings arise, where they stem from, and to realise usually it is an absence of love. Our shadow also often wants to keep us small, to keep doing what we know rather than trying something new. It feeds off old patterns that haven't been worked through, from panic and low self-esteem to something greater still. Having worked through that, the card then asks you to question which figure you give most attention to. Transformation happens when we choose the light over our shadow selves and turn like a flower to the sun, to the life force of our planet's greatest energy source. The image is a reminder every day to choose light, to move forward, to reach for sunlight rather than hide ourselves in darkness. We are here to shine brightly. We cannot do so from a place of hiding. The sunlight in the picture brings about not just illumination to the one who is free, but illuminates and brings warmth to the heavier side of ourselves that we all carry. The stronger and more powerful energy is the light. It can and it will escape the clutches of anything that tries to contain it. What has been left behind is but an empty shell, and we learn to look back with compassion at what blocked our way or the lessons we learnt from our struggle. By doing this, we transform not just ourselves but the darkness too. The battle is over and the light has won. And you know, when I was reading that words, do you know whose image I had in my head? I had the Dalai Lama's image in my head. And the reason I think I've got him here now is that he has such a beautiful energy, doesn't he? He's friendly, he's happy. I haven't ever met him, but I imagine if I did, I would love him. You know, he's just got a warmth that comes off him. And the thing is, somebody like him who is spreading so much light in our world, let's be very clear. Do you think he's sitting down the whole time worrying about false news, fake news, false flags, conspiracy theories, anything else, you know, that we care to mention? He's not probably disputing that any of this doesn't exist, but he's not choosing to focus on it. And by not choosing to focus on it, he's actually lifting the vibration of the world to a much higher level than if he went into where this takes you. Okay, so, and this, Metatron was reminding us, is also about gossip. Passing things on just because we want to, I don't know, it's almost like the whole thing about gossip, actually, it's quite interesting, is often we're passing something on that isn't actually particularly nice news, and it's like we want to be the purveyor of the bad news. And you might say, oh, Amanda, I don't do that. You probably have done. I probably have done it as well in the past. In fact, I'm sure I have. You know, it's like pre-programmed stuff that we used to do in 3D that has no place in 5D, okay? Right, let's now move on to the grid, and I want to take you through making a grid for yourself to help you find your own truth in this world where you've got these different sides who are saying different things, the internet which is just telling you, you know, if you watch this video you're going to find this truth. And again, you know, even the people who are proponents of a lot of what I'm talking about somebody like David Icke, who I do have a lot of time for David, actually. I think he's a good guy. I don't agree with everything he says by any chance, but I do agree with some parts of what he talks about, but I think basically he's a very good man. And he would be the first, and he has come out and said this publicly before, which is like, whoa, you know, before you make a decision that something is fake news or false flag, can we just take a minute to breathe, please? Can we actually just take a minute to look at the facts of that case and find out whether we think that does belong to that camp, you know, or whether actually that could have really happened? You know, he's very good like that, David, you know, so again, and it's because he's an intelligent guy. You know, the fact that he's brought out all the books he's brought out, he's researched it. And he has put his energy into it. And I was saying to my husband earlier today, actually, that I have respect for anybody, to be honest, of either camp, if they've really put the time and the research in, and then they've come down to a perspective and a place which is, no, I believe this. About this particular event, this is what I believe. And I would always say, I honour that, okay? I don't have to agree with it, but I honour it. But it's the people that just come out and it's just like, oh, let's use that old script because that worked last time, you know? It applied to the last thing, which was a false flag or fake news, so it has to be about this. No, it doesn't. Remember what Metatron's saying, one size fits all does not work here. Okay, that's our mantra. Okay, let's look at a grid then. And I've actually already got some things on my table that I thought would fit quite nicely on my grid for truth. Now let's just take a moment to think about why we're doing this, okay? We're doing this to help you discern what is true in your own life, and also what is true in terms of what you are hearing. That can be at a very individual level in terms of people in your life that might be misleading you or lying to you or trying to hide something from you. It could also be, Metatron is saying, people in your life who have been shouting at you for quite some time and trying to bring you to a place of truth, but you haven't wanted to listen to it. So it can work both ways. But the grid is also a grid to help you discern what is true in the collective as well, okay? And I just think this is something that you could do that could stand in an office or in your home at any time. Now I've got this rather fantastic grid here that's been specially made for me by a couple in America. I think that their Facebook page is Sacred29, I'm pretty sure it is. Husband and wife team, and I've shown you this before because they've written on the back, this was birthed for me on November the 11th 2017, and it's obviously got, oh, it is made with Sacred29, so Sacred29 is their Facebook page, so you can find them. But this basically is Metatron's cube, and obviously working with Metatron, I use Metatron's cube a lot to either help me manifest things in, or to help me protect me, or bring healing, or it can be used for so many different things. But for this purpose, I want to use it today as a grid to create, to help me and you discern the truth. So if I just sit back a little bit, you can see me placing items onto it. The first thing with grid work is it's really important to know there's no right or wrong way to do it. You create something from your heart, you create something which you feel intuitively guided to do. But for us, obviously we're talking about truth. The colour energy that links to truth is blue, okay, the blue ray and also the silver ray. So blue and silver are fantastic colours to incorporate into some form of grid. It doesn't have to be as fancy as this. It can just be a piece of paper that you print off Metatron's cube from Google, and you put the piece of paper flat onto your desk or your table, and then you put the items onto it like I'm doing here. But blue and silver are the colour energies that you're needing to be working with. Rather conveniently, we have, of course, Archangel Michael here. And Archangel Michael is very good for helping us to really discern the truth, okay? So we're going to put Archangel Michael spray right in the centre of it. And it's funny because this morning I've woken up and I've put on orange and blue. And I really felt that I wanted to wear orange and blue today. And of course, blue is the energy of Michael. We're going to put there. And orange is the colour for Metatron. And it's the attunement and connection spray to him. It's a very powerful spray. So I want to put them together. And actually, they want to go there. Okay, they want to go side by side. Metatron's cube is made up of 13 circles. So it's quite a neat way to actually do a grid because you can put something onto each of the 13 circles. So I'm going to put them on there. I'm really going to try hard not to drop this. What else do I want to put on? Well, because I'm trying to discern what is true and what isn't, I'm going to put, you don't have to have sprays, I'm just using these as examples because obviously I've got them. I'm going to put the Midnight Indigo, which is about trying to find the light in the dark. And I'm going to put the Sunrise New Dawn spray there as well, okay? So this is like light and dark, okay, are represented here. Duality is represented here. I'm also going to put some crystals on, and the crystals that I've chosen, I've shown you this one before, it's black tourmaline. It's a self-healed piece that broke and then sort of rejoined itself together. That's just very protective energy. I'm going to put that there. I've got a piece of turquoise, okay? Many other blue crystals that you could use, but turquoise is pretty good as a communication stone. I'm going to put that in the centre. I've got a piece of aqua aura, which I really love. I love aqua aura, it's so pretty. It's going to go on. I have got some tiger's eye, good old tiger's eye. Most people have got tiger's eye in their collection. Got 2 pieces of that, and tiger's eye is about giving us courage and strength to again Metatron is saying to be able to face the truth, to be able to face the truth of what might be out there in the collective, which might be deeply challenging because it goes against established norms and things that you've believed up to this point in time. But also individually it can be very hard to face truth sometimes as well. I've got a piece of angel light, okay, which is just referencing obviously the angels and being shown them putting wings around us. We've got Michael already. Michael's there more with his sword of truth. you know, to just show us the way. And the angel light feels as though it's more about just wrapping wings around us, keeping us safe as we discern what is true and what isn't. And I'm being told that for some of you, it can be quite shocking sometimes, okay? I've got a piece of smoky quartz, which is very good at, again, getting rid of negative energy. So I'm going to put that onto my grid. I've got an affirmation statement. And my affirmation I wanted to put on mine today is this. And it says, I am safe and open in my world. I am safe and open in my world. So I'm going to put that somewhere. I'm going to put it at the back, actually. So I'm also going to put the bottle of spiritual protection. And then I'm going to put my affirmation there. Okay. And something I also felt was quite important to put on today. I've got a crystal here and it's an eclipse stone. Certainly a lot of the changes that are happening in USA at the moment are linked into the eclipse that happened, was it last July? You know, when you had the total solar eclipse and it went all across all of those states of America. And the thing with eclipse energy is it, you know, it carries on for months afterwards. So I'm feeling as though all of us are still in that eclipse's shadow. Well, shadow and light, actually. So I wanted to put the eclipse stone on. And, you know, if I wanted to as well, I could maybe put some blue flowers on here. I could put something that symbolises white. Obviously, I've got my sprays, but you could put a white crystal. You could put a white piece of cloth. The other thing that's quite important, because it's about you, is it's really nice to put something that represents you in it as well. So it could just be your name written on a piece of paper right in the centre. Or it could be something that is just very attuned to your energy. It could be a favourite necklace that you wear, a ring that you wear. It could be anything. It could be a photograph of yourself as well. But you put that in the centre of the grid as well. And then once you've made it, obviously you light a candle and you put it down. I'm just going to put it down now. Whoops. I knew that was going to happen. It's because that's been varnished. So they slide a bit. I wouldn't normally be making a grid holding it up. So it's all right. I've repaired it now. Yeah, you would light a candle and you would just let it sit. And then it's like you don't have to keep going back to it. It's doing its job. And you ask Metatron to come in and just to bless that grid, okay, and to program it to do its job. So it's literally just a little prayer, something along the lines of, I create and I set this grid for my highest truth to emerge, for me to learn the truths of the universe, to help me learn what is right and what is wrong. So be it. It is so. It's something like that, okay? I mean, you use your own words and then you just allow it to sit. And every time you look at it, every time you walk past it, you remember, that's my grid that's helping me to discern what is right, what is wrong, but equally, because it's also got the energies of light and dark on it and duality, it's trying to bring it all back into balance, okay? To have a balanced response to things. Okay, I think that's probably more or less what I wanted to say on this video, but I'm just going to spray Archangel Michael because we've been talking so much about truth. Let's just see if he has anything to say. People are obsessed with finding out the truth. And a lot of energy is being wasted on searching in the murkiest places for truth that is going to arise naturally anyway. Those that have committed crime, acts of darkness will be brought to light by spirit. You don't have to go there and pull them out. What we ask you to do instead is to search for truths of wisdom, and the greatest truth there is, which is the power of light to conquer all. The power of love. Search for truths there. I'm hearing the passage about pearls and swine. And I'm just going to look it up. I'm pretty sure I know what it means, but I just want to check. Pearls and swine meaning. Okay. Okay, it's a passage from Matthew. Comes from Jesus' Sermon on the Mount. Do not give what is holy to the dogs, nor cast your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet and turn and tear you in pieces. Yeah. To cast pearls before swine means that you are wasting means that you're wasting your time by offering something that is helpful or valuable to someone who does not appreciate or understand it. That feels very relevant right now, actually. And it goes back to one of the first points I made on this video, which is, if you're not agreeing with something, you're not enjoying something, you're not resonating with something, just let it go, I think this is particularly for those of us that are practitioners and teachers and therapists. And I want to say the YouTube community. I felt I wanted to speak today on behalf of the YouTube community as well, because many of you watch me. You've probably got your own channels as well. And in this year of duality and, the light and the dark, increasingly people are falling into those, are in opposed camps. And they are shooting the messenger a lot of the time. And so I think Michael's coming forward and just saying, don't worry about it. If you say something and people don't like it, doesn't matter, let it go. Your pearls of wisdom, whatever they may be, whatever you're being asked to say, will find the right person's ears. And those people that you put pearls in front of and they just, disparage you or make fun of you or abuse you in some way, let it go. Because I am here, he is saying, and I see all. Let's just use the sunrise, new dawn to finish on. Okay. This is such a lovely spray. So it's like a bright summer's day, a new dawn that's coming in. A new harvest that is growing, a new generation that are here, and a new generation that is to come. And each generation that is to come are brighter and brighter and brighter. And their brightness when they arrive illuminates everybody else that's here, but only those that are open to seeing it, to hearing it, and to feeling it. So stay open. And remember this, that you are this. And it's an affirmation for all of us, that I am safe and open in my world. Doesn't matter if you get criticised or people don't agree with you. Spirit has your back. And there is a big tribe of us that are together. And that new dawn's coming. Okay, I'm going to leave it there so I get this out on the 22nd. Lots of love, everybody. I'll just repeat my website, amandaellis.co.uk. The sprays that I've used today, you can all find them on there. And yeah, I think that's all I want to say today. Just sending you lots of love. Bye-bye for now. Thank you for your support as well. It's always appreciated. Bye.